back here at Benzinga's Cannabis Capital Conference in Chicago, and I'm joined by Brett Gelfand, the CEO of Cannabis Collects. Great to see you.
Great to see you. How we doing?
Doing great. We were just talking about how much fun this thing has been, and people like you being here is what makes it so much fun.
I appreciate you saying that. It's been a great show so far. Been mostly up here on the trade floor and talking about what I do every day. So yeah, it's been good.
Well, now you get to talk to me, which is probably going to be your favorite moment of the entire event.
1000%.
Well, it's mine so far talking to you. Let's talk about Cannabis Collects. Let everyone know what you guys are all about.
Yeah, so Cannabis Collects is the nation's first and leading cannabis collection agency. Started the firm in 2017, so we've been at this for a while now. All we do all day is help cannabis companies collect outstanding receivables and money that they're owed. I'm sure people have heard around the street on LinkedIn, this is a very prevalent problem now in the industry. It affects cash flow, it affects decision making. So through the last 7-8 years, we've not only helped collect money for cannabis companies, but now we're focusing on launching our sister company, the Cannabiz Credit Association, which is essentially the first Dun & Bradstreet or credit bureau for the cannabis industry. So
it's pretty awesome, bro.
Operators can be a little bit more proactive. Before they have to use us for collections, they can pretty much figure out who owes money and who's paying on time before doing business.
Now, Brett, you talked about obviously this being a pressing issue in this space right now, and obviously we wish it wasn't. That being said, because I'm all about solutions too, but let's start with this. Why? Why is this happening?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, cannabis itself is challenging because of the classic issues of the banking and the tax and the compliance. But really the main problem is because there's not operating capital available like in other industries, companies have gotten in a habit of extending trade credit without really understanding the philosophy and best practices of how to extend credit. I was running a cannabis company in 2015. I extended terms to dispensaries. I didn't get a credit application filled out. I didn't have a proper collection process in place. And this leads to an avalanche of collection issues that will hit.
Right.
So really it's just a lack of education, understanding, and sophistication of what does credit and collection management mean. And for operators to understand that when you give somebody net terms or when you front somebody product, you're acting like a bank. And if you're acting like a bank, you need to understand what that means and what that goes into, because if they don't pay you, you could be out with nothing after putting in all that hard work to deliver product.
Brett, that's perfectly said. And obviously, we know that this industry, as great as it is not treated. I say it's unfair compared to other industries because obviously scheduling and all that kind of stuff, and not being able to use bankruptcy code because it's not looked at as other industries are and should be. That being said, I mentioned I'm a solutions guy, and we're lucky to have people like you that are on the forefront of this. What is the solution? Because we know that debt issue in the space is a huge issue. How do you see the solution?
Sure. So the first solution that we had to solve for was the most pressing issue, which is what happens when somebody owes you money. And that was back in 7-8 years ago. I had to educate clients to understand this is why collection agencies exist. There are law firms and lawyers that do this for a living to help collect money when it's owed so you don't spend your time. I talk to owners all the time that are spending their hard-earned time chasing past due customers that are notoriously for not paying, chasing them for money versus building their business. So you first need to understand that there needs to be a proper escalation strategy in place. Now, that's kind of like what should be on the back end, because that's the last step is you have to escalate.
Of course.
However, it's the most immediate issue right now. When you talk to people on the street, they're like, I'm owed $100,000. You need to get that escalated so then we can start working on the front end of what to do to make sure that doesn't happen again. So now you talk about credit management. What does it mean to run credit checks? How do you know what terms to extend? What's a credit limit? All these different, factors that go into extending somebody terms to make sure they don't owe you money. And the main solution that we had to solve for was how do you give operators true data to make that decision? Because right now, if you run a Dun & Bradstreet report, if you run any kind of credit report on the major bureaus, there's no real insights because no one's reporting their AR. We are the first ones in the industry to actually have true AR trade data being reported to our bureau every single month through the CCA, so you can see which companies pay and which companies don't.
It's amazing, Brad.
That will allow you to basically make an assessment, because we provide you with a risk score of low risk to high risk of who you should maybe extend terms to, because the good payers should maybe get terms. You don't want to damage the ones that are paying, and it's not bad to have credit. Credit's actually a very strong leveraging
Helps
tool.
everybody.
Helps everyone. So this gives you the ability to not just make gut instinct based on, oh, my friend said, or oh, I've heard this, or I feel this way, but no, this company seems like they might be able to pay me back, or this company seems like they might be high risk. Let me be a little bit tighter on terms there. And this, I hope, will start putting boundaries and transparency and reliability of information in the industry to move this whole thing forward.
Brett, that's beautiful stuff. Yeah, you don't want people to be on the subreddit, cannabis subreddit on Reddit. Oh, I heard they're pretty good. No, they're not so good.
It's happening every single day, and it needs to change.
Let's spin this forward, Brett, and think about 2 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, how you see things progressing and how you want to fit in, with your heroic tasks that you're trying to get taken care of.
Sure, and I'm seeing it happen. It's slow, but it's happening. We're all getting more sophisticated. I was around in 2015 running a cannabis operation, and I see how advanced these operations are becoming. I don't think they've become it yet, but there's a lot more sophistication on finance. I'm seeing more credit managers. I'm seeing a lot more resources being allocated to credit and collections because most operators have felt the burn the last couple years. So with that said, I think there's a much heavier focus on sophistication in finance and credit departments, which leads to where do we fit in? We want to be that, call it partner or synergy, to make sure that we can help out on full credit collection in an automated format where you can essentially have our platform be plugged into your AR. It'll flag accounts if they go late. You can quickly run credit checks. You can make sure there's a click of a button. We can send that account to collections to make it really easy for operators to focus on growing good accounts and making sure they're in touch with their good payers. And when something goes late, they're monitored, they're flagged.
Right.
They know they can make decisions quickly versus now we have clients that wait a year, 2 years before they even think about what to do with the past due account. And that will cripple cash flow, and really it's taking companies to their knees. So for us, anything from really on that credit collection cycle is where I think we're going to be integrated, hopefully not just with the operators. We work with a lot of ancillary providers as well, and making sure that any data on cannabis companies around trade and payment data, we can help provide insights to just make better business happen.
You're doing some incredible stuff, Brett Gelfand, CEO of Cannabis Collects. Thanks so much for the fascinating talk.
Thank you.